Good. All right, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. We got head coach Ben Olsen here. Ben back at home for the first time for an MLS match in over a month. How have you guys been preparing this week and looking forward to this match at Show?
Certainly looking forward to it. There's a lot to look forward to. Sorry about being late and for the usual out of breath, sweaty me. It's still hot here in Houston. The last two games have been very interesting for us in that still a lot to improve on, but also, in the grand scheme of things right now, good results. And, there's a little, more spirit to this group and resiliency and being hard to play against. That wasn't the case, a few weeks before that. We gave up a lot of goals during the previous month and a half, and just wanted to get back to looking after each other, making some plays in the defensive side to give us a chance in games. And that's what we did. A couple of good performances over the last two games, and as I said after the Vancouver match, a little bit of spirit building, and that's important. Certainly at this stage of the game, when you're playing teams that are super well oiled and understand who they are, so the game itself has a few stories behind it, right? We understand this is a team that we need to compete with for a playoff spot. So that adds a little fuel to this one, but really that's secondary to just us, having good performances and trying to get a win.
All right, thanks for that. Danny?
Yes. Hey, Ben, 3 points, tomorrow the game, 3 points and more.
And more? That'd be great if they could give us 4. We could use it. I think what you're getting at, Danny, is it's important. Yeah, we're home. We need a win. As much as there's momentum, we need points, and not necessarily 1 point. We're at home. We need to make sure at the end of this one we're not saying great tie, guys. Right? So that's the evolution of us in this moment, and that's the challenge in front of us.
Yes. Good. Okay, we'll go to Joey. Joey, you there?
Hey Ben, right here. Hey Ben, Antonio Carlos, he's got some good minutes over the last 2 games. How is his fitness coming along, and how do you think he's fitting into this group so far?
Well, I think there in Vancouver, it was a lot to ask, and I think you saw him around that moment. We subbed him, just starting to get a hair heavy legged, and Ethan came in and did a very good job to help that game out. He's helped us on both sides of the ball. He's a calming presence in possession and certainly out of possession. He's seen a thing or two, and the forwards that the Vancouver attack is second to none. Actually, maybe second to the San Jose attack. So we'll be tested again. Joseph, Arango, they're just such a handful. So again, another good test for our center backs.
And they got Christian Espinosa on the wing, one of the best wingers in MLS. How do you guys deal with what he brings to their attack?
Well, I don't know. You bring some numbers around him. You try to get help. You try to stop service, but he's clever enough to combine and move past you on the dribble. So, he does a lot of different things. And then set piece service is, up there with Jax. So this is a player you try to contain and limit his effect in the match like we would a lot of players at his level that can influence a game if you don't game plan in some ways to limit him. But everybody's trying to do that, and he continues to make plays. So between him and the forward situation they have, super aggressive, and they score goals. So we try to limit that part and be efficient on our end. They also give up goals, so there's a back and forth, and that'll be the kind of cat and mouse game that they impose on teams. And So we have to somewhat play that game, but also not get too caught up in it. So it's a tricky group, and hopefully, we're at our best. And if we are, I give us a chance.
Thanks so much, man.
Dustin, go ahead.
Hey man, I know you talked about it the first time you guys played San Jose, but they're very open, a lot of goals for and against them. Does that change the way you guys kind of go into a match knowing that it's going to be, up and down the field both ways?
From a personnel standpoint, we're always looking at the opponent, and in particular in our group where the lineup choices are somewhat fluid in this moment in time. So yes, of course, we're looking at certain profiles that match the game, whether it was Vancouver, whether it was Austin, whether it was, and then you try to look into the future. You play crystal ball, and what does the game look like in the second half, and who do you need then? And so this is all stuff we do, and this is all stuff that keeps us up at night. When we get some right, we get some wrong. We trust in the group that we're going to play. And we trust we have the right subs that come on with the right mentality to change the game in the way that they've done over the last couple weeks.
Kind of talking about that, I know you talked about after the game, Lawrence making a big difference when he came off the bench. And he hasn't got the fitness to maybe start. Do you prefer him maybe off the bench as kind of like that super sub role coming in for 20, 30 minutes?
Well, it's certainly working for him. And, but again, all players want to be starters. If he can do some of what he's doing on a consistent basis over a longer stretch of time, that's the challenge that I have to, make sure that he's improving in that way and can sustain that and sustain both sides of the ball and all that stuff. But he's been awesome. I mean, he's been awesome, and I think he's, whether he's been starting or coming off the bench, he's a player, as I know you guys all see, and it's easy to see a guy come off the bench and have speed late in the game, and you're down. It's a good position for him, and now we continue to look for starters, guys that can do it from the beginning, and he's got it. Dwayne's got it. We have a lot of different players that are capable of that. As I said, it's still about who we are in this moment. How can we get a result? Looking into the game plan, and also looking at the opponent.
Thanks, man.
All right, Jesus, go ahead.
Hi, Ben. Following up on that question, Inali, he went at the defender. That's something that has been missing previously in that game.
I just answered the question, Jesus. What's the question? He went at the defenders. Yeah. Late.
Right. The question is, why is he going at the defenders? But the players that were there in that position previously, they were not going at the defenders that much. So we can pass the ball back. Is that something to do?
There's different ways to go after teams and get in behind. There's good old-fashioned running behind. I think in the first half, and if you guys would go watch the game back and not just watch highlights, and dissect it in the way that we look at the games, you'd see there's opportunities and guys are running in behind. Not everybody has a 1v1 quality to them in soccer, and so playing the ball is important when you have runners, whether it's Ezekiel, whether it's Linger, whether it's Griff. We have opportunities to play behind the line and have success that way. Too many times we're not in sync in that way in the first half. We had 4 or 5 times, good runs are there, we have an open ball, and we're not playing the ball. And so that's partly just, again, Antonio's now coming in. He's feeling out Ponce. He's had 2 games with him. He's feeling out what's going on. Pablo. So this is stuff we have to work on in the training field. And if we're relying on only 1v1 ability to have success, we're in trouble. It's nice to have that, and Anali's had that, and he's done a very good job with it. He's going to continue to grow here, and he's going to be a great piece for this team, right? But, so, again, any other questions? Any other questions about Lawrence?
Past 2 games, your team has shown fight, to come back on the road and draw. in previous press conferences, you told us that you want to see more of that from your team. Did you get some questions answered about what your team is capable of this late in the season, that they're able to fight back and get that draw on the road?
Well, I told them, after the game that there's something brewing from a spirit standpoint, and we haven't had that enough this year, and in just being tough to play against and hanging in there and giving ourselves a chance to win games and not giving up easy goals, and I think that is it's a start, but now we got to capitalize on it. And as I said, ties are great, and on the road in particular, our road form has been pretty good. Take that at the beginning of the season where we're at, and so now it's about having that same resiliency and those types of performances at home, and we're looking forward to seeing what this team can do with a little bit of momentum and a little bit of spirit. But San Jose's they're coming in with the same desperation and good vibes. So this should be it should be an interesting one.
Final one for me. Obviously, as you can attest to, hasn't been the best of seasons as far as home games. I'm sure there's not one answer, but can you think about why you guys haven't been as good at home, but good on the road? Like, is there something you can think that leading to that?
I've thought about that question a lot because it doesn't really necessarily make a lot of sense. And are we the way teams play us at home versus away is different, right? A lot of times it's more of a transition game for them, and we have the ball, and that's the one common theme that is, kind of if you want to point to something, is our transition moments have not been good enough as we are more exposed with the ball, and that part, I think has been the difference in making some plays, in transition, and we did a good job of that last year. We had some different profiles, and we had some guys, Mika didn't hurt in that way, and putting out fires and dealing with some of these longer transition moments against fast attackers. So, we maybe don't get as exposed on the road. So that's something we've talked about and trying to, at times have a better structure and a little bit more safe structure as we have the ball. But it's hard when you have the ball and you want to do some certain things and you want to score goals. You have to also capitalize on that moment. So too many times at home, we haven't capitalized on these games where I sit at a press conference after and say, we had 15 shots and we had 4 really good looks and we didn't score any, or we hit the bar twice. So, so it's usually comes down to that, making plays on the offensive end and and not being great in transition at home. So we'll continue to work on that.